Okay, this is about York Street Station. This is my station here. This is the station by DUMBO. This is probably the worst station in the New York City subway line. Now, a few blocks from the York Street Station, you walk maybe another 5 minutes or so forth, you can catch the A train and the C train at High Street Station, right? So that's probably about, about maybe 4 or 5 blocks away. However, there is an escalator there. From time to time it gets broken, because last year when this year, when I was working in Manhattan, I was working the night shift, and I would come home, and sometimes that escalator is broken. And that's no joke, to try to walk up those stairs. When I was much younger, it was no problem. I could walk it up. But as you get older, I did it, and then I was out of breath. So at the other end of High Street, if you go down to like where Brooklyn Heights is, there are like 2 escalators there, and you can come on. So there are escalators over there. But with York Street, there's only one way out, and there are no escalators. I'm going to try and see if I can play this video here. So the article says, Brooklyn subway riders demand changes to combat overcrowding accessibility issues. Right? NJ Bucket. Okay. Let's see if I can play this video here. Let's see. Yeah, I got the volume up.
There is a push like never before for people to detox from cars in New York City and use mass transit.
But here's the hard truth. The infrastructure needs a lot of work to handle more people in places like subways when they eventually return to pre-pandemic levels. It's
a serious and huge challenge. And today, one busy subway station in Brooklyn, well, they shined a bright light on overcrowding.
Here's NJ Burkin.
By the time they reach the street, many riders are exhausted. From the F train platform at York Street, they have to climb up a steep staircase, drag themselves down a long, seemingly endless corridor, then push through the turnstiles and up 2 more flights of stairs. No elevators, no escalators, and for parents like Alonso Guevara, it's a struggle.
It is very difficult. I've seen mothers with 2 kids that they can hold the stroller and then the other baby, so yeah, definitely something. Yeah, they should have something.
She says most times she can find somebody to help her with the stroller while she carries her 11-month-old son, Atlas. But she says it shouldn't have to be that way. What's more, there's only one way in or out. Critics are demanding changes.
It is the only station in the system that has one entrance and exit. It's one staircase that is both in and out. It's a deep station, and if there is anything that goes wrong, it could be a very dangerous situation.
And during rush hour, shifting tides of people are flooding in and out at the same time, and the narrow platforms are jam-packed.
Even during the best commutes, the narrow platform with one exit is a tragedy waiting to happen.
More than 18 months ago, activists and local elected officials urged the MTA to make the York Street station a priority. But so far, nothing.
Agency officials released a statement to Eyewitness News today saying they're still trying to come up with a plan and gave no timetable for releasing it.
Okay, that's true. That station, because sometimes what I do, I just get out of J Street, Metrotech, and take the bus. That's how bad it is, and take the bus and get home, because coming up through those stairs is no joke. It depends, because just like they said, you have to walk up those stairs, and then you have to walk up that long platform, and then when you get out by the turnstile, there are 2 more set of steps you have to walk up, and you're exhausted. Especially if you're carrying stuff. It's no joke. Now, if you get off one stop south at J Street Metrotech, there's an elevator over there. If you're carrying stuff. So definitely, what they need to do is like open up the subway and put in like an escalator and an elevator, because at one time that area DUMBO wasn't really, you didn't have like a lot of people living back there. It was mostly like factories and so forth. But now you have like a lot of younger families, people with baby strollers and so forth, and like that woman we just saw there, in the news clip, she has a baby carriage. How she's gonna walk up all those steps, then go up that ramp, then has another set of steps to go up? It's just ridiculous. And when this subway was built, I think the F is in the Independent line. This was going back like around 1904, 1906, something like that. This was like way back then, over 100 years ago. Back in those days, people didn't really live that long. By age 50, most people, either you died, something happened, cancer or something like that. High blood pressure, they didn't have any pills to control high blood pressure in those days, so you get a stroke, you die. That was it. So most of the time, I guess, back then, if you look at it, you were the age where you can walk up those stairs. So by the time you, 49, 50 years old, you can still walk up those stairs. By the time you get 60 years old, if you're lucky, you probably won't be working, or you'll probably be dead anyway. So that's why it worked back then. But now people live longer, and you have like a lot of people with wheelchairs and so forth who need to get down the subway, and it's an inconvenience. They would have to like take the bus and go down to J Street Metrotech and then use the elevator over there instead of being able to access the subway right here. And the MTA seems to have no idea what could they do. But I'm sure they can do something. They can open up it's going to cost some money. They can open up the way. They can drill. And they can bring up escalators, just like they did with High Street. And put an elevator too. That's the way you solve that problem. So, let's see here. From the F train platform, riders have to climb up a steep staircase, drag themselves down a long, seemingly endless corridor, then push through the turnstiles and up 2 more flights of stairs. There are no elevators or escalators, and it's the only way in or out. Imagine if there's a fire down there. Critics held a news conference on Thursday demanding changes. It's the only station in the system that has one entrance and exit, one staircase that is both in and out. It's a deep station. If there's anything that goes wrong, it could be a very dangerous situation, said Joanne Simon. During rush hour, tides of people are flooding in and out at the same time. And by the way, it never used to be like that. Where it said tides of people, that used to be a very lonely station at one time. People actually I remember one person got killed down there. That's how lonely that station used to be. One person got knifed down there. I don't know if somebody was trying to rob him or what have you, but got killed. Because at that time, you didn't have much people living there. There was no real, like, DUMBO, I mean, it was there, but You didn't have people living back there. There was just like a few people in the older buildings there. Not really brownstone, but regular buildings. And you didn't have all these tall buildings. You didn't have all these flood of people. You didn't have artists and all these people who came in later. So when you went down to that station years ago, it was you and maybe a few people, and that's it. Now you go down in there, you see like crowds of people. People also come to visit the Brooklyn Bridge. When I went down there like a couple of days ago, there were like 3 ladies. They were asking me how to get to. They asked me first if I'm from around here. I said yeah. Then they wanted to get to the Brooklyn Bridge Park. And I said, well, you have a choice. You can go down this way to the left, or you could go straight down J Street. If you go straight down J Street, it will bring you right into the Brooklyn Bridge Park. And then you make a left, you keep going, you see the Manhattan Bridge, go through, like there's a park there. You get on the other side, past where the Brooklyn Bridge is and so forth. And you get over to Brooklyn Bridge Park, like all the way down to Pier 1. So it's very different now than how it used to be. And during the time it was built, it wasn't really built expecting lots of people, because you had like factories. There used to be like coffee houses down there, going back to the 1800s. Lots of different coffee houses. Lots of factories making clothes and so forth. And you didn't have all this stuff like restaurants and so forth. None of that stuff. You had a few places to eat, but that's about it. So let's see here. She said, my husband and I, like many others, the surrounding neighborhoods, will rely on the train for work, which can be very crowded during the rush hour and unsafe to navigate. Even during the best commutes, the narrow platform with one exit is a tragedy waiting to happen, said DUMBO resident Mallory Caston. Well, yeah. One of the problems is that I remember, like, when I used to use that subway going to work, I was working, I think, in Queens, and so I had to go for, I had to reach for maybe 9 o'clock, and by the time the train reaches here, it's very, very packed, because it's picking up people all the way in, all through Brooklyn. So when the train reaches here, this is the last stop, and then you have Manhattan as the next stop. So sometimes I couldn't even get in the train. The train was so packed. And if I did get in the train, it's like, wow, I have to squeeze myself in. That's not really. It reminds me of like you see in Japan, where they have those men on the platform pushing people in. Well, that's about how close it came to that. Only thing, we didn't have anybody here pushing anybody in the train. So this was really, it was a terrible experience. And because of the pandemic, that kind of changed a lot of stuff. So, it wasn't as bad for the last year or so forth. But like in this area, there are a lot of people working in the tech industry who work down in DUMBO. You go there in the morning, you see a lot of people coming out the subway, coming to work, because they work in that area. So that area brings in a lot more people than if you go back to like the 1980s. It was never like that. It was just a regular desolate subway. That's how it used to be. Desolate subway. So let's say activists and local elected officials urged the MTA to make the York Street station a priority. The agency responded promising answers by June, but so far nothing. It's unacceptable. We know that our agencies are busy. We know that the MTA has faced challenges, so this really is a critical issue. And we are here to highlight the necessity of the MTA coming to the table, getting the information out into the community that they have, and having a serious conversation about what can be done about this, said Brian Kavanaugh. Well, gee, I mean, what conversation you need to have? I'm sure they've been having conversations for years, When you're young, it's not really as bad. Because I remember when I was much younger, I never really, thought about it, because it was like nothing for me to like fly up those stairs. I can just run up even that long corridor, that steep incline. In my young days, sure, I was able to walk up there with no problem. And then once you get up where the turnstile is, I was able to go up those 2 flights of stairs, no problem. But as I get older, I realize, wow, there's a big difference. By the time I come out, I'm breathing heavily now. So that's a big difference. And at times, if I'm carrying stuff that may be heavy, I just get off at J Street Metrotech and just take the bus over there. Just use the elevator. But of course, you have to spend more time doing that by taking the bus. But it would be great if they can work in the station. You look at stations like 63rd Street, Lexington, all those stations, they got escalators, they got elevators, they got all kinds of stuff that bring people up. I mean, you got some deep stations there, like where the F train goes from 63rd Street, Lexington. Wow, those stations are deep. You go down way down below, deeper than York Street. York Street is a joke in comparison. But they all got escalators. And I don't know in the days when they were built if they had any escalators or not, but gee, try walking those stairs up if they were just stairs and no escalators. And of course they have several elevators too to bring you down, and wide. The elevators are wide over there, but over here nothing, And if you're a woman with a baby carriage, good luck. If somebody happens to be coming by who can give you a hand to help you lift that carriage up, to take it up those stairs, that's no joke. So something really has to be done about that.